Hello, I'm Nora Shabazi. I am the founder of EBLE, Evidence-Based Literacy Instruction, which is a speech-first or speech-to-print system to teach reading, writing, and spelling to anybody of any age or grade level. And also what we mostly do is train teachers in how to teach EBLE. So what this video is going to be is talking about some misconceptions that are out there and pretty prevalent about what speech-to-print or speech-first instruction actually is, and I want to help clarify some of those. It's exciting because for decades, actually, there really was very little discussion about this instructional approach, and in recent months, there's been a lot more discussion, so of course there's a lot more questions, and it's new and different, which, results in different degrees of discomfort as far as things that are new and different. So I want to hopefully in this video provide some clarity. So the first thing that I've been hearing a lot of is that speech to print is just spelling, and everybody teaches speech to print, and I can understand the confusion with that for sure. Because when we're spelling, we go from speech to print, but we're talking about an actual instructional approach that we do to teach both spelling or encoding and reading or decoding. So we're teaching this interchangeably to teach both of those things. So it's not that we don't teach reading. That's what our main focus is teaching reading. But we also teach spelling at the same time, which really helps accelerate the reading process too. But the process, the instructional methodology is that we go from what our mouth says as far as our talking and our words and our speaking, which kids bring to them almost always, when they come to school. So we start there, which is natural, and then move to print. So instead of teaching anything in isolation, which we don't do at all, we'll never teach a letter or a sound in isolation unless it's like the word I or, a word that only has one sound. We do not do that. Really shrinks the amount of instructional time and makes it meaningful and relevant for the learner. So we start out with preschoolers, even kindergarten, with words like at or am, shorter two-sound words, and expand upon that. And we always start with sound first. So we start with what the ears are hearing your mouth say in a word. We help them segment the sounds, put placeholders for the sounds, then we match the letters immediately. We don't wait till the next day or sometime later. We do it immediately so they see that connection between the sounds coming out of their mouth. The words are made up of sounds are represented by letters or groups of letters. So a speech to print approach covers, we use it throughout with vocabulary instruction, with writing instruction, obviously spelling instruction, so all the way through, and then apply it immediately to reading and writing quickly to trade books, which is another thing that I have heard, that because we move so quickly to trade books that we promote guessing with speech first or with EBLE, which nothing could be further from the truth. We absolutely do not only not promote guessing, we don't allow it, and we spend a ton of our time undoing that bad guessing habit. I was going to show you these. We even have these whole rolls of Slay the Guessing Monster stickers that we give to our kids because that guessing habit is so deeply embedded and very hard to undo. We have a webinar I highly recommend on that. It's called Slay the Guessing Monster on EBLE.com. So I would check that out. If any of you are familiar with Lynn Stone's Guessing Dragon, that kind of was born out of that EBLE webinar. So we absolutely do not promote guessing. We do move to trade books very quickly because we know that when we teach the kids the concepts of English that are unique and make the code complex, and we teach those very quickly early in instruction, that then they can apply them with our support. We do supported reading, especially for our little kids, but for all of them, to remediate too. So that they can apply what they've learned, not just for only words they've learned or only patterns that they've learned, but across the board for all of the code. So that is how we can move really quickly into trade books, whether teaching a whole class or teaching intervention one-on-one or a small group, which brings me to my next point of I have been told recently, and this is fun, and kind of, I think it's a little funny, that EBLE is only for intervention, and I've also been told that EBLE is only for whole class. EBLE is for everybody, the valedictorian all the way down to someone who doesn't know a single thing about reading or how to read of any age, beginning readers or an adult. So the thing of it is the skills, concepts, and information that we teach applies. Ideally, we want to be in whole class instruction K-3. That's where I put most of my time and energy to help teachers make the instruction really easy there, because that's putting the fence at the top of the cliff and avoiding these falling off and needing the ambulance at the bottom. However, we've already have a lot of kids who need the ambulance at the bottom. So EBLE is spectacular for intervention. It has been used all over the world now for intervention and to remediate quickly. So definitely we have that. But for me, ideally, if this is taught in whole class, kindergarten through third grade, especially kindergarten and first grade, then we prevent the need for all of this intervention, because we certainly are not going to intervene our way out of all of the literacy difficulties that we have. So teaching our kids so that they quickly are able to learn the code and be able to apply it in reading and writing. Whole class and small group and one-on-one. So, and it doesn't matter if you're a teacher or not. I'm a nurse. That's what my background in education is in. Anybody can teach this. We give a roadmap to do it, a recipe. Just you follow it and you do it, and you have the instruction for the kids, and boom. And teaching you how to do error correction and stuff too, and differentiate with kids. So that's really important. Teaching the letter names. There's been a lot of discussion about we don't teach letter names, and that is true. As far as in reading and writing, we don't teach letter names, because what you need to access is the sound. When we say the word cat, we don't say C-A-T, right? C-A-T. The letter names, we say k-at, quack, quickly, cat, okay? So the sounds are what we need to access to read and write and spell, not the letter names. The letter names are kind of like our middle names. We don't need to get rid of them, but it's not the main event. It's not, a lot of people don't know our middle names, and they don't need to, right? It's not the main thing. So we teach letter names and handwriting away from reading and spelling, but we don't say, oh, you can't ever know the letter names. But a lot of struggling readers that get second grade and older, or non-readers even, know their letter names. Almost every one of them that have come to our reading center, they know their letter names. They try to utilize those to read, but it doesn't work, because what you need to access is the sound, not the letter name. If you're reading the word win, you don't want to say D or W, because D is the first sound in W. That sound that goes with that letter is W. So we have to say those sounds, W, I, N, win, and push them together and teach them how to do that. So that is why we don't say you can't teach the letter names, or we don't not teach the letter names, but we definitely, they are the less important piece of information. So I found, let's see, what else do I have on my list here? Too many spellings at one time. That's another thing that people have been saying to us. We teach kindergartners up to four, maybe five even, ways to spell a sound like k, the top 4 ways to spell k. We start out with 2 with a couple spellings, but we move quickly to 4. And they manage it very well, because it shows them patterns, which is how the brain learns best from birth, and tendencies without rules. And so we do that explicit instruction, and then we apply it to a whole lot of things. So what I say to that is, you really won't know that they're capable of doing that until you try. And we have thousands of teachers who have done it in their whole class, or have done it in remediation, who see that little kids, even preschoolers, quite frankly, can manage that information when it's taught in a way that makes sense. So no need to worry about that either, which is good. So the cool thing with EBLE, with speech to print, with speech first, is that when we are accessing the sounds, starting from the words that we say and going to the sounds and the spellings for them, and teaching our kids the concepts of up to 4 letters can spell a sound. Every sound can be spelled in a lot of ways, almost every sound. And the same spelling typically can represent several different sounds. When we give them that information in a multi-syllable strategy, then they move so quickly to orthographic mapping. We don't waste any time on pre-teaching of anything before we get to a word. Sometimes in kindergarten, we'll do a little bit of oral phonemic awareness stuff, whole class, just to kind of warm them up, and also some exposure. But basically, we mostly get right into a word. And so we get quickly to orthographic mapping and very quickly to self-teaching. Nobody can memorize all the words in the English language as a whole. Bad idea. And also, nobody is going to be taught 50,000 words explicitly, or even all the code for a fraction of that with phonics instruction. Not going to happen. So what we do is we teach them how these concepts work. It's not about what you're teaching per se, but how you're teaching. That's really where the shift comes with speech to print. So hopefully that is helpful and might clear up some of the misconceptions that you may have. Wherever you see this, please feel free to comment and or send us an email at info@eble.com, and we would be happy to continue the discussion. My team here at EBLE and me. So thanks so much for listening, and carry on learning about this whole speech first exciting process.